Are you wondering what happens when you shift gears on a dirt bike without using the clutch? Well, there's a couple things that could happen, and it depends on how you're using the throttle. You see, I typically don't use the clutch when I'm shifting because dirt bikes have a constant mesh transmission, and that allows you to shift them if you're doing it properly. And in order to properly shift without using the clutch so you don't damage or wear out your transmission quicker is if you let off of the gas. So listen as I go from second to third gear. Here, I'll accelerate, let off, and then get back on. Did you hear that? I was accelerating, I briefly let off the throttle, and then I shifted up, and then I got back on the throttle. And when you let off the throttle, this unloads the transmission, the gears, so they're not pushing hard on each other, and it allows you to shift up more easily, because if you do the reverse where you're accelerating and you don't let off the throttle, it's gonna jerk when you shift up, especially if you're in a higher RPM, because there's pressure on the gears, and when there's pressure on the gears, this makes it harder to shift to the next gear. But when I'm teaching beginners, I like to teach how to shift gears with using the clutch, because it's smoother and it's easier and it's not going to wear out the transmission quickly. So to do that, it's the same thing. You accelerate, let off, pull in the clutch, shift up a gear, let out the clutch, and get back on the throttle. Now that's several different steps, and it should not take as long as I just showed you, but it'll probably take that long when you're just starting out, because you have to think about each step. Okay, I gotta let off the throttle, I gotta pull in the clutch, I gotta shift it up, gotta let the clutch back out, and by the time you do all that, you probably have to shift back down again because the RPM is gonna be too low. But as you practice it, you'll get faster and smoother, so it's all one fluid motion. So that was one shift, and I gotta keep looking where I'm going. And now that you know how to shift, it's time to learn what gear you should be in. So how to know if you're in a gear too high or a gear too low. So you can watch that video right here.